All right, everybody, welcome to the City Council meeting for November 4th, the day after our time change. So everybody did good and getting to the meeting on time. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Before we get started with our agenda, if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you. All right, Ms. Trimble, if you'll go ahead and do our roll call, please.
Happy to. Beginning with Anderson, I believe she's absent.
That's correct.
Becerra.
Present.
Campbell.
Here.
Carlino.
Present.
Perfect. Farmer.
Present.
Jones is also absent.
Yes.
Jordan.
Present.
Melson.
Also absent this evening.
Absent. Nugent.
Present.
Savage.
Present.
Sherrill.
Present.
And Vasecka.
Present.
And we do have a quorum.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right. Approval of the minutes. We have minutes from October 28th, 2024. Any questions or changes from council? Not seeing any, then those minutes will remain as submitted. Thank you. And item number 3, changes to the committee meeting agenda and the committee schedule. Ms. Trimble, is there any changes to our upcoming committee schedule? And then also, I know we have a bit of a different committee schedule. If you'll go ahead and detail that for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, on Wednesday, we're beginning at 10 a.m. with an actual special meeting of City Council. And that is a joint meeting with the county commissioners, and the regular committee schedule will begin in the afternoon. After that, it's completed and they've had a lunch break.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Committee schedule is located online on the City Council agenda page. So click on that if you want to see any of the upcoming committee meetings and the accompanying materials for this Wednesday. So we'll move on to special presentations and proclamations, and we do have a neighborhood council update from the Lewis and Clark leadership team. I have a couple of proclamations to read, and then we do not have any public hearings or any regular business this evening, unless something comes off the consent agenda. And so we'll go ahead and just move through our items here and welcome up folks from the Lewis and Clark neighborhood. If there's anybody here to give the report, thank you very much. Please go ahead and say your name for the record, if you would.
My name is Eric Warren. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Eric Warren, representing the leadership team of the Lewis and Clark neighborhood. Hold on. This is very close.
No problem.
So in September, we had our general meeting, and we had about 30 to 50 people who attended, and it seemed like there was a great amount of engagement. We changed the format this year to include city departments tabling at the event instead of just having like 1 or 2 presenters, and that seemed to really not only draw people in but keep them engaged. So we felt that was like a really interesting, and we liked that format a lot better. So we'll probably hopefully use that in the future.
Good.
To prepare for that general meeting, our team, led by Claire Battaglia, who is also leadership team, she prepared a survey that we sent out to the 200 email names for our neighborhood that we had. We got about 10% of people who responded, which seemed pretty decent for kind of a cold marketing email. that survey gave us insight into their concerns, their ideas, and all kinds of stuff that allowed us to kind of know what was going on, like within the neighborhood, as well as what projects they'd like to see us use energized neighborhood grants for. So we're right now going through all that data. And then this year we also completed the 1996 strategic plan for the Bancroft Ponds Park. We received a number of neighborhood energized grants for that, the improvements included new and informative signage, as well as trees and a graded pathway that had access in mind, make sure that it's a little easier for people to get around. And then we also use grants to build an outdoor classroom that we have now seen, kids in classes using, as well as like walkers and dog walkers using them to take breaks, but also construction workers will come over from the construction projects across the street and just have their like safety meetings in there. So the trail we also rebuilt with a donation from Five Valley Audubon and Wildlife. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Well, thank you for that report. That is an incredible amenity. Beautiful nature preserve right in the middle of town right there. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Warren?
I did want to mention also that both city council members from our ward were there, and that was extra nice.
Excellent. All right. Well, glad to hear. It sounds like it was really well attended, and sounds like you've got some great ways to get neighborhood input and feedback. So we're looking forward to see what you'll submit for these new neighborhood energized grants.
Me too.
Yeah, you've put it to good use. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for participating. Yeah. Great. All right. Wonderful. Thanks for that update from the Lewis and Clark leadership team. So we'll now move on to our proclamations this evening. We have two. The first is regarding Children's Grief Awareness Month. So whereas 52,000 Montana youth will experience the death of a parent or sibling before their 25th birthday, and whereas many kids feel misunderstood in the wake of loss, thinking that their grief is invisible to those around them, and whereas all bereaved youth deserve advocates supporting them as they navigate a world without their person, and whereas effective grief support can help mitigate against possible negative outcomes by teaching positive coping mechanisms and resiliency, and whereas recognizing this month serves to build a foundation of support for grieving youth, shining a light on a national community of bereaved individuals, support service organizations, and community members, and whereas our community is committed to supporting one another, working to raise awareness of children's grief and ensure that no child grieves alone. Now, therefore, I, Andrea Davis, Mayor of the City of Missoula in the state of Montana, hereby recognize the month of November 2024 as Children's Grief Awareness Month. Is anyone here that wishes to speak to this evening? Come on up, please.
Hi there all, thanks so much. I'm Meg Smith, the Associate Director with Tamarack Grief Resource Center. We've been in Missoula since 2008 supporting youth and adults who are experiencing loss or grieving bereavement. And we've been doing a Camp to Remember for approximately 28 years, which is an overnight camp for kids who've experienced a significant death at Flathead Lake, at Sealy Lake, and Georgetown Lake. And just so grateful to have the City of Missoula proclaim Children's Grief Awareness Month and Day almost every year, and really appreciate our community's commitment to supporting grieving youth. It is, in fact, a national crisis, unfortunately, after the COVID-19 pandemic, and we really feel the support in Missoula. Thanks so much.
I'm really glad to hear that, Ms. Smith. Thank you. And you and both all of the professionals and volunteers that work with Tamarack Grief Resource Center. It's an incredible valuable resource for our community and really Western Montana. I know so many people that have utilized your organization to help them cope and get through some hard times, and have created a wonderful community as a result.
Oh, thanks
Thank
so
you for your
much.
great work.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You bet. All right. Our next proclamation is around National Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month and National Caregiver Month. So, whereas Alzheimer's disease is the 7th leading cause of death, affecting more than 21,000 Montanans, among 7 million Americans, and more than 55 million people around the world. And whereas Alzheimer's disease is a progressive neurodegenerative brain disorder that tragically robs individuals of their memories and leads to advancing mental and physical impairments for which there is currently no prevention or cure. And whereas lack of awareness of Alzheimer's disease has resulted in only half of those affected ever being diagnosed, effectively denying countless people access to the Alzheimer's Association's free resources. And whereas the impact of Alzheimer's extends to loved ones of those with the disease, including 17,000 Montana families, members, and friends who provided an estimated 25 million hours of unpaid care in 2023 at a value of over $478 million. And whereas the City of Missoula recognizes the efforts of the Alzheimer's Association to raise funds to find a cure and promote awareness to fight Alzheimer's disease and related disorders, thereby improving the quality of human life for those living with the disease and their care partners, and bringing us closer to finding a cure. Now, therefore, I, Andrea Davis, Mayor of the City of Missoula in the state of Montana, hereby recognize the month of November 2024 as National Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month and National Caregiver Month. Is anybody here that wishes to speak to this evening? Please come on up.
Good evening, Mayor Davis, members of council. Good to see you all. Nevin Graves, Nevin, Graves, Graves. I'm here today, as I always am, with a different hat on, as the development manager for the Alzheimer's Association's Montana chapter, working throughout the western part of our state. Thank you so much for proclaiming this month as National Alzheimer's Awareness Month. To the point in the proclamation, people who receive a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease or another dementia are in some ways lucky in that they're receiving that. Half of the time this goes undiagnosed, which means it goes untreated. We're at a point now where we have treatments that can slow the progression of the disease, and the association is working on a number of tools in terms of diagnostics, work towards a cure. We have really promising results from a blood test, which is in clinical trials right now showing to be 90% accurate, which is huge, especially when you consider how few geriatricians there are in the state of Montana who can comfortably and confidently diagnose Alzheimer's. There are less than 20 throughout the entire state. I have a few other folks with me here today. I really just want to particularly highlight National Caregiver Month as well. I have not had Alzheimer's disease or other dementia impact my family, but it is made a huge impact on the lives of some of my friends who are here tonight. I have the utmost love and respect for them and all of the work that they did to show their loved ones that they were cared for until the end. So thank you again.
Absolutely, Mr. Graves. Thank you and others that are here with you. I am in solidarity with you. My father-in-law passed from Alzheimer's, and it's quite a disease, and it takes a lot of impact on family members. So I'm with you there. Come on up, please.
Hi. I'm Renee Brooksbank, and I am a board member of the Montana chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. And I too want to thank you for recognition of this disease. My background is that I am an aging services attorney here in Missoula, and I also was a nursing home administrator for 10 years. And so I have managed several memory care neighborhoods and experienced the tragedy of going through that disease and the loss that's involved. There was a particular resident who lived there for years, and his wife was such a great advocate, and she was his caregiver, you know, in addition to the paid caregivers that we have there in the home. And she advocated him so well, and just tragically, she died before he did. And that was so devastating to all of us there on the team, because that was the only person he really connected with. But it just highlighted the impact on the caregiver It's very, very stressful. And so I'm really happy that you guys are recognizing the caregivers, not only the unpaid caregivers, but the paid caregivers. And so the other role that I've had is as a geriatric education center at the University of Montana, which provides training to the paid caregivers all around the state in dementia care. Has done it for 20 years. The grant just ended a few months ago, and so that's going to leave a big hole in providing education to the paid caregivers around the state. But I hope that this continues to be a concern for the council, and just know that I'm here to support anything that you need.
Well, thank you. And one follow-up question. So there will not be that level of training for caregivers anywhere in Montana as a result of the termination of this grant?
I will say that there are people in the state who have certified dementia practitioner training certificate so they can travel. The problem is we were funding that. So they have the training, they can travel around, they're willing to go to the High Line or however, wherever they need to go to provide the training, and all those people are very thankful for that, but we were the funding source, and so that funding source has gone away now, and so it's for them to try to figure out how else they can get paid to do that.
I see.
It leaves a gap.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, thank you for making us aware of that. And
thank you.
Absolutely, thanks for being here, and thanks for your work. Appreciate it. Come on up.
Good evening, Mayor Davis, members of council. Tor Goodmanson, Torgudmundsson. I've had the pleasure and privilege of speaking before council in a professional capacity before, but I think this is the first time I've gotten to be up here in a more personal one. Like yourself, Mayor Davis, my in-law has suffered from Alzheimer's and neurodegenerative diseases for the majority of time that I've known all of you. My wife's mom passed away about a month ago, but for the past 5 years, she and I have been caring for her and providing that level of support to her family and her loved ones. And we don't talk about it. It goes unrecognized a lot. I think it's just the hard part at the end of the day for a lot of caregivers. So I'm here today in support of everyone else experiencing similar, and also to say thank you for you guys, because this isn't something that we get to put out there a lot. This isn't something that is recognized as the big part of a lot of our lives that it is. So I'm appreciative of this proclamation, appreciative of the recognition for both the folks suffering from these diseases and for those who care for them, because it's a lot of work and it can happen to any of us. So thank you all.
Thank you, Tor, and thank you for sharing your personal story, and my best to you and your spouse. You bet, absolutely. Boy, it's very fitting that both Tamarack Grief Resource Center and this conversation is taking place the same evening. Anybody else wish to speak to this agenda item or this proclamation this evening? Okay. Thank you for being willing to share your stories, and again, thank you for incredible community resources to help support fellow community members going through challenging situations in their lives. All right. We will then move on to our next agenda item. Again, thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. We don't have any public hearings this evening. So we're moving right to no new business. We'll move right to our consent agenda. And so what we'll do is ask Ms. Trimble to put the consent agenda on the screen and then go ahead and read the consent agenda for the record. We'll take public comment after that for items on the consent agenda and regular business, of which there isn't any. And but folks are welcome, of course, to comment on any committee minutes that are included. So, Ms. Trimble, when you're ready.
All right. On this evening's consent agenda, we have a motion to approve accounts payable or claims for checks dated November 5th, 2024 in the amount of $1,558,103.32. We have a motion to set a public hearing for November 18th, 2024 to consider adopting a resolution approving the expenditure of up to $530,000 of 2018 open space bond funds towards the fee simple acquisition of approximately 5.4 acres of property from the Resurrection Cemetery Association to meet level of service needs for the quickly growing North Side and West Side neighborhoods. We have a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a professional services agreement, number 1, with the WGM Group for the South Point sewer main and step decommissioning at a cost not to exceed $764, excuse me. And the final motion is to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the real estate donation agreement with BNSF Railway Company for the parcel of land that the Missoula City Cemetery has been utilizing as described in Exhibit A.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Trimble. Is there any public comment this evening on the consent agenda or regular business as well? Any public comment on these agenda items? I'm not seeing any in the room. How about online? Not seeing any public comment, not seeing any hands raised. All right. Do any council members wish to separate any items this evening? No? All right. Then, Ms. Trimble, we can move forward with a voice vote for the consent agenda, please.
All right. Voting on this evening's consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Okay, as mentioned, we do not have any business under regular business, and so that brings us down to agenda item number 10, which is public comment on non-agenda items. So if there's any public comment on non-agenda items this evening, please come on up. I'll go ahead and run the timer for you. 3 minutes per public comment. Come on up.
Well, last week, Big K, Montana, Spitzmacher, SPITZMACHER. Things were doing really well up until last week, Sunday, when I mentioned to the night staff how the society has advocated the rapist and persecutes the victim. And I would be a classic example as being a victim of being raped by the Poverello staff, and it's continuously happening. And I noticed something, how they persecuted me on the floor mats, putting me where nobody else would want to be. And exceptionally, one was never being designated, being used for the last year or so. That's harassment, purposely, maliciously done. So when I mentioned it to the night staff that how the society has advocated embracing to the rapist, and I mentioned it last summer and so forth in regards to how the grandmother tells the rapist to go rape my granddaughter. That's the anxiety that I'm having or had at the Poverello, and I'm going to have it again if I don't take another hiatus to Kalispell or enjoy my project that I've got going on with the assistance of an exceptional individual in Milltown. The fact of the matter, these people are running amok, and I do feel as though Christy, her name I think is Patterson, is the ringleader of all this. And when I have these problems with the staff, it resurrects a lot of dynamics, not even from Salt Lake City, of the past, of the, what I call it, toxic stress. Toxic stress, and I heard that on KGVO in regards to the fact, and I had to Google it. The mental health department is so woke in this society that if you're not over 55 or up in there in age, we don't want to hear it as well as you understand it, because we haven't you've been denied to be wokenized, that we need to put sliminess, smoothiness on everything we say. Forbid if we use glass shards when we use sliminess and smoothiness, because it may offend them. And one staff member literally said, these people are so thin-skinned, if they do any work, they end up with calluses. Blisters, not calluses. They're that thin-skinned in regards to that. The rape victim gets persecuted at the Poverello, which would be me, and the rapist, which would be the staff, gets regarded and appreciated.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Spitzmacher. Other members of the public wishing to make public comment on items not on the agenda this evening? Come on up.
Madam Mayor, council people, my name is Carrie Schreiber, Carrie, Schreiber, and I am an adjacent neighbor to the Southgate Crossroads development that I believe is being spoken about at the Wednesday meeting. And I'm on the Great Bourne part of the neighborhood, and I've been visiting with a lot of the other neighbors, business owners, the daycare owner, apartment building owners, and we'd all like to know a lot more about what these plans are. I think it's pretty amazing that our blighted neighborhood has been able to come up with $5.8 million to make the purchase of this property through 25 years of paying into the urban renewal money, and that nature remediated herself the last 40 years, that this soil that we believed was polluted for so long all came back with clean sample. We very much want to be a part of the conversation here, and we don't have much open space. We're crammed in between Brick Street, Reserve, and South. And like I say, it is a very blighted neighborhood that has spent a lot of money in taxes to be able to make this happen, and we're looking for input. I had called to find out when these meetings were and was told that the first meeting where this was going to go to committee would be on November 18th. Had I not pursued finding out about this special meeting on Wednesday, we would have missed this window. And now I hope we're excited for what people have planned, but when we can't find out about things directly, it just makes things be suspect. It's not good for trust. So I hope that the public will be able to attend these committee meetings and be a part of the process of deciding how this space purchased with our money is going to be used. I just got my tax bill. I'm going to be paying $2,500 a year into this urban renewal fund. My business neighbor is paying close to $6,000 a year. We deserve a voice in this process.
Definitely. Thank you, Ms. Schreiber. And as I'll speak to this later during mayor's comments too, but just to address this, this is not the public process for the master planning. This is simply to purchase the property. So on Wednesday, there will be a committee meeting here. Then it will move to the city council to make a decision on whether to purchase the property on November 18th. But after that, there will be a very robust public process. That will be a master planning process. Absolutely. You bet. You bet. All right, other members of the public wanting to make public comment tonight on items not on the agenda? Not seeing any in the room. How about online? Any public comment on items not on the agenda? All right. Not seeing any online either. That wraps up our public comment on non-agenda items. So we move on to number 11, which is communications from the mayor. That is definitely something I wanted to highlight. You may have seen that we held a press conference last week as an opportunity to elevate this conversation prior to it moving through the approval process. And so it was an opportunity to gather on site at the Southgate Triangle with members of the business community, so that included Scott Burke with First Security Bank and Grant Keir with Missoula Economic Partnership, who has helped us secure this purchase and sale agreement with the private landowners. So this is purchasing 13.5 acres in the middle of Midtown Missoula. This property has been identified for years as a catalytic piece of property that would help be able to achieve the goals identified in the Midtown Master Plan. This Midtown Master Plan, which is a community-led plan, is the latest of community organizing and plans that have identified goals for this neighborhood that was realized in 2023. I myself remember all the way back in 2003 when the Urban Land Institute led a similar conversation here in our community where people envisioned what might happen with this this part of our community, not just this land, but these acres are certainly something that will help bring about opportunity for more residential homes, business opportunities, importantly, connectivity for this part of town. It will actually help achieve a long desired connection between South Avenue and Brooks. There's not a lot of in this particular part of town, there's no north and south connectivity. And then additional parkland. This is a very parked part of town in terms of green space and those kinds of things. So it is an opportunity for that as well. But as I mentioned, currently the process is that the purchase and sale agreement will come forward for approval to the City Council through this normal course of business. So you'll hear it Wednesday at the Housing Redevelopment and Community Programs Committee. And then from there, it will move to City Council for approval to purchase. The Missoula Redevelopment Agency Board did vote to support this purchase last Wednesday. So that is exciting news and something that is really a long time coming. These are two property owners that had either of them developed this property separately, it would have not achieved the community-led vision that will be able to be seen now that there'll be all 13 acres redeveloped. So it's quite the opportunity. So that's underway. We're very excited to bring that forward for further conversation and presentation to council and certainly to the public as we undertake the master planning process there. And gosh, the only other thing I'd like to say is that this is the culmination of a long election season. Although, I don't know, Councilor Nugent, it might be, I think 2023 might have been longer. That's me personally. So there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of disagreement out there. And I just wanted to remind us all that we live in a democracy where we have the opportunity for free and fair elections. We have the opportunity for our voices to be heard through voting. And that at the end of the day, let's remember that we're all neighbors, community members, and continue to be kind to each other. We don't have to have the rhetoric and the challenging type of dialogue that's out there on the national front. Let's be Missoula. So that's all I wish to say. I'll pass it on to the person to my right. And so, Councilor Becerra.
If you haven't voted yet, please do go to vote tomorrow. It's a privilege and it's a responsibility, and so please take advantage of the fact that you have that freedom to go and cast your vote. I also want to send my condolences to the Vasecka family. It is challenging these days to find a home in Missoula, and it's difficult to find a home in a neighborhood that you like, and it's rare to find all those things in a neighborhood where the people who live there make it just so special. And Mike was one of those people, and I just want to send his family lots of love and condolences. It's a difficult time for them. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Farmer.
Thanks, Mayor Davis. I'm sure most of us are going to say something similar about voting tomorrow. But I just wanted to mention, both of my kids happen to be at two different schools that are election centers. And I just want to repeat, your message of communion and unity, and that our children are literally watching you and how you behave. So please keep that in the back of your mind as you go and cast your ballot.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Thank you. Councilor Vasecka.
Thank you. Yeah, as many folks know, I'm related to a lot of people, and I don't agree with a lot of them on political issues, and yet we still all love each other and we get along really well. So if we can do it, I think all of America can do it. And like Sierra said, the children are literally watching. So one more thing about election tomorrow, and then I'm going to move on. I remember in my American government class, there was a cartoon that had choice your language, but it basically said, all ye who don't enter this voting booth lose all right to complain. So please get out there and vote. To not choose is to make a decision. I'm super excited about the voter turnout, and I just hope that everybody exercises their right to do that. And then moving on, next Monday, we do not have council because it's Veterans Day. And I wanted to thank Susan Campbell Renault and everyone who puts on all these events every year. So I'm just going to read what she has going on next Monday. All 3 of these events are on November 11th, Monday, and all are welcome. Veteran and non-veterans alike are encouraged to attend some or all 3. The first one is a hot breakfast at American Legion Post 27, 825 Ronan Street in Missoula from 7 to 9 a.m. Donations accepted and encouraged. This post was established in 1919 in Missoula, months after the close of World War I. Then you can move on to a light breakfast of breakfast burritos, sweet rolls, and coffee at VFW Post 209 at 245 Ronan Street from 7 to 11 a.m. Donations to the VFW are accepted. This post was also established just after World War I. And then the 98th Annual Veterans Day Ceremony at 11 a.m. at the Missoula County Courthouse at the Doughboy statue, which is the corner of Ryman and Broadway Streets. Veterans are encouraged to wear their uniforms, hats, or other clothing representing their branch of service. The American Legion Post 27 dedicated the Doughboy statue in 1926 and has hosted the Veterans Day ceremony ever since. Montana has one of the largest populations of active duty and veteran populations of military in the United States of America. And Veterans Day was begun as to honor these hundreds of thousands of military personnel who died during World War I, but now honors all veterans who have served throughout our USA history. And like I mentioned, all are welcome to attend. Some are all, veteran and non-veteran. And I hope to see folks at one of those. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Vasecka. I'm really glad you mentioned that very much. Thanks for mentioning all 3, and I will see you at the Doughboy statue and the ceremony there, 11 o'clock. All right. Going around the horseshoe, Councilor Jordan.
I'll pass tonight, thank you.
Okay, you bet. And Councilor Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it's already been said. Obviously, you haven't voted yet. Got to 8 p.m. tomorrow to do it, so get it done. And to fellow veterans, comrades, happy Veterans Day on the 11th.
Great, thank you. And Councilor Nugent.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. First of all, if you're in line at 8, stay in line. It's a law. We keep hearing about that. I have to laugh. The last year not running for anything has been great, so I appreciate you bringing that up. It's been nice and peaceful. But I also will just take this moment, since you had a good message about the broader community, that I kind of hope that you and I's race can be something for other people to kind of model after, where we can run hard against each other and then work hard on the other side and be friends. And I kind of think that's the way it should be. And I've appreciated getting to know you over the last couple of years a lot better, especially on the campaign trail, but even more working together. So, thank you for that. And I think that is a uniquely Missoula type of thing, but it doesn't have to be. And it works out that we have a lot of views right in line with each other. But I think that nonetheless, I think that it's easier to find common ground and work together than to do the opposite. So, thank you for being the other half of that great conversation.
Thank you, Councilor Nugent. Appreciate that.
I did also want to just echo, I'm really excited about the conversation we're going to have in committee on Wednesday in regards to the property behind the Southgate Mall properties there. And I just think there's such tremendous opportunity for the community, not only in kind of unlocking some potential and finishing some grid and getting some park space to a neighborhood that doesn't have it, but also opening up opportunities for investment that will help us. I also think that there's kind of down the line opportunities to get some real difference-making revenue into our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. I think there's some opportunities along that front. So I hope that the community will be excited and participate in that conversation when the time comes. And I would just echo what Ms. Farmer said, that these poll workers they're not doing it for the money, and please be patient with them. They're working hard and they're doing something that's really important for all of us. So I hope that tomorrow goes well for everybody, and just be nice.
Thank you very much for your comments, Councilor Nugent. Appreciate that. And I'm going to shift to council members that are online. Is there anybody online that wishes to make council comments this evening? Ms. Sherrill, Councilor Sherrill.
Yeah, thanks. I don't have anything new that hasn't been said, but I really appreciate Ms. Farmer's comment that our children are watching, so let's all act in a way that we would want them to act. And I also appreciate sorry, my noise in the background here, but I also appreciate Mr. Nugent's comment about the race and that you two work together so well. And I hope that regardless of the outcomes in all the different races, that I hope people can work together and look toward the future that we are all thinking about for our communities, both small and large, and learn from that. So thank you both for being the example of what we want everyone and our kids to see.
That's very kind. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We did, I will say that Councilor Nugent and I did hear from quite a few community members after the race last year, recognizing that a respectful conversation is something that is very appreciated. So it's possible, and I have hope for others. Any other council members online wishing to make comment tonight? Okay, not seeing any. All right, so that wraps up our council comments, which means that wraps up our city council meeting. It's a quick one tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and adjourn us at 6:43 p.m. Thanks everybody for coming down tonight.